Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The show is about to begin.
Do you want to know why I use a knife? Guns are too quick. You can't savor all the little emotions. And you see, in their last moments, people show you who they really are. So in a way, I know your friends better than you ever did. Would you like to know which one of them were cowards? Welcome to Three Guys in a Flick. This is where we review the good, the bad, and the absurd. Tonight's episode, The Dark Knight. Beware. Spoilers. Joining me as always, John, our comic book guy.
Heidi ho.
And the Professor, Ken.
Good evening.
How you guys doing?
Bat-tastic.
Fucking The Dark Knight, right? 2008, Christopher Nolan. Released on July 14th, 2008. Written by Christopher Nolan and David Goyer. Directed by Christopher Nolan. Starring Christian Bale, Michael Caine, Heath Ledger, Gary Oldman, Aaron Eckhart, Maggie Gyllenhaal, and Morgan Freeman.
Do you think this is Christopher Nolan's strongest movie to date? I realize Inception is a really strong candidate as well.
It's funny that you say Inception because I would put this over Inception without even thinking about it. The one, and surprisingly enough, the one I'm having trouble putting this or comparing it with to be the best is probably The Prestige.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, up until The Dark Knight. Or which one did he do first? I think he did The Prestige first.
I think so.
Well, to answer that question, you have all three movies available to watch right now. Which one are you going to watch?
I watched The Prestige.
You would watch The Prestige. Which one would you watch?
Dark Knight.
I would go Dark Knight as well.
I immediately regretted my answer as soon as I said it. Yeah, I'd watch the fucking Dark Knight, so I guess there you have it.
Yeah, so
I think
that's good.
I think this is his strongest.
Yeah. Well done. Well done. I mean, what can we say about this film that hasn't been said before?
Well, you could tell us a little about the plot.
It's brilliant. If you don't know what The Dark Knight is about by now, then I just feel bad for you. I kid. With the help of allies Lieutenant Jim Gordon and DA Harvey Dent, Batman has been able to keep a tight lid on crime in Gotham City. But when a criminal calling himself the Joker suddenly throws the town into chaos, the Caped Crusader has to tread a fine line between heroism and vigilantism. So out of the three, this is the strongest.
Yeah.
I liked how it begins, ends with them on the roof and he flipped the card around. And I remember being in the theater watching it for the first time. And when he flips that card around and it says the Joker, the entire theater erupted in applause. That was great because up until then, the last Batman we had was Joel Schumacher's, I believe, Batman and Robin. Is that the last time Batman was in the theaters before Batman Begins?
I've blocked that one out.
Okay.
I think it is.
But there wasn't one in between there, right?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, so the last taste we had in our mouth was Batman and Robin. So for Batman Begins to be so good and not have the Joker in it, when he flips that card around and we see it that it's the Joker going to be in the next one, I mean, great things. And then the first trailer for The Dark Knight drops, and we're fucking hooked, right?
Euphoria.
Yeah. Remember when they said that Heath Ledger was going to be the Joker?
People were very much against it.
Yes, absolutely.
Until they saw what they previewed at one of the Comic-Cons, the first 6 minutes of the movie, that bank robber scene, and that just sold people on Heath Ledger. Yeah, everyone admitted they were wrong.
They released that before the Mission Impossible movie, the first 6 minutes of it in IMAX. So I saw it at the Pacific Science Center, the first 6 minutes.
Well, the dramatic show of Joker's face, because the tone of the movie, the bank heist, is starkly different from the exposure that we have when he finally reveals his face after taking his mask off, and then score of the music changes, and it gives me goosebumps right now thinking about it. It is done to perfection.
So I was driving home yesterday from work thinking, okay, I'm going to sit and watch The Dark Knight. And then I started to think, are there parts in it that drag where I don't feel like I want to watch it? And this is brief, mind you. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe the bits with Rachel and
I was
and
just
Harvey.
about to say that.
But then I think about it more, and I immediately go to the opening with the camera coming in and that score going.
No opening credits.
No opening credits. And then I say to myself, fuck it, I'm going to watch it. I get home, I turn it on, and I don't turn it off.
Because it pulls you right in,
Yeah.
and it carries you along.
And at 2 hours and 30 minutes or 2 hours and 30 something minutes, it doesn't really feel like it, but I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
It does not drag.
I feel like
I think it does just that much.
every time you watch that first 6 minutes, even when you know, like it's not the first time, you know that that's the Joker in the mask, you're just waiting for that reveal.
Yeah.
And it just still gives you that kind of that goosebumps feeling of, oh, it's coming. And that line is coming that he says.
There's several little imperfections in that opening scene, but I'm like, I don't care. I don't care.
Oh, we'll get there.
Yeah. Totally dug when we finally realized which one of the clowns the Joker is. At the end, no, I'm supposed to kill the bus driver. And then as the camera shifts around and the Joker tilts his head and he's putting the other guy into harm's way of the bus backing in.
Yeah. And that first 6 minutes when you first saw it, or even when you watch it now, you're 100% correct. It's fantastic. One of the best openings.
How'd this movie do?
This had a budget of $185 million, and the box office, it took in, just $1 billion.
Just $1 billion.
Just $1 billion.
Wow. And in 2008.
There was another movie that was released in 2008. Does anybody remember?
Why, yes, I do. There's a couple other movies, but there is another superhero movie that is every bit its rival. But it did not do as strongly in the box office.
You know what? I would totally agree with that statement. And I would go so far as to say, yes, it does rival. And we had no idea how good it was going to be. And on top of that, how well The Dark Knight was going to do. So, I mean, for that movie to come out at the same time and hold its own and now be compared to as a rival film, 100% agree with that statement. That's a good one.
Do you want to reveal what that movie is?
I don't know. I kind of like keeping that. I like kind of like keeping people in the dark.
Like The Dark Knight?
Like The Dark Knight.
Like The Dark Knight.
Yeah. What film was it, John?
I don't know.
Iron Man.
Oh, just that movie?
You don't think Iron Man is fantastic?
I'm not good with dates. So.
No.
But talking about
Iron Man is a great movie.
Okay. All right.
It is a fantastic movie. In fact, of the Iron Man series, that one is my favorite.
Oh.
Because you know
hands
how
down.
I feel about the other Iron Man movies.
Yes, I
And
do.
that's a topic for a whole nother show if you really want me to go off.
Yeah, it is.
the other big superhero movie that year, Hancock.
I liked Hancock.
I thought I did too,
I
but
love the idea of just a guy who's got all the superhero powers but just sucks at it.
and here's the thing with Hancock real quick. I like the premise. I like the first act. I like the second or half of the second act, and then the rest of the film I lost interest.
I love
the story got stupid, and
I love anti-heroes. I don't know why. I'm always drawn to
Hancock
anti-heroes.
as a character was funny. I like when he goes to when he shows off the superhero for the first time, shaking everybody. Good job. I thought that was cute.
I thought it was great when he's trying to be all good and he shows up to the police scene and he's like, "I'm going to put my hands on you. It's in a non-sexual way.
Yeah, she's all,
do
just
I
get me
have
the
your
fuck out
permission?"
of here. Yeah.
Okay, back to the bus. When the bus pulls in with the rest of the buses, do you still think every time, how is that not like, there's a bus coming out with all that debris all over it? Oh, well.
Speaking of buses, a gang of criminals robs a Gotham City mob bank, murdering each other for a higher share until only the Joker remains and he escapes with the money. Batman, District Attorney Harvey Dent, and Lieutenant James Gordon form an alliance to rid Gotham of organized crime. Bruce Wayne is convinced that Dent is the White Knight Gotham needs and offers to support his career. He believes that with Dent as Gotham's protector, he can give up being Batman and live a normal life with Rachel Dawes, even though she and Dent are dating. Mob bosses Sal Maroni, Gamble, and the Chechen hold a video conference with their corrupt accountant Lau, who has hidden their funds for safekeeping and fled to Hong Kong. The meeting is interrupted by the Joker, who warns them that Batman works outside the law and offers to kill him for exchange of half their money. Meanwhile, the Joker kills Gamble and takes over his gang. Back to the bus. Yes, every time it pulls out, but I was thinking about it last night. Maybe the bus it pulls behind and the bus that comes in after it are with the Joker, and they're just following. They know the school route, right? So the school goes down the street, and they're sitting on to the right or something, and they see him go by, and they go, "Okay, now."
I know the real answer to that.
Oh, go.
I asked a friend of mine who was a bus driver for a long time, and her response is, "I'm not paid enough to care where the other bus came from."
That's one way to look at it.
She says, "I got screaming kids in the back of me, and I am not paid to care."
Yeah, and they make it a point to give you the screaming kids in the background. So the first heist, the opening of the film is absolutely brilliant. It brings you in. Favorite part of that scene up until the buses pull away. What's your favorite part?
The reveal of Joker.
Yeah.
When he takes the mask off.
What is that line he says?
Whatever doesn't kill you simply makes you
stranger.
And then the score comes in behind him.
That's right there is my favorite part.
And then it's that little twitch of the face he gives him as he takes off.
Yeah. The thing that bothers me in that scene is when he puts that smoke grenade thing in the guy's mouth, and he just doesn't take it out.
Oh, he just doesn't spit it out. The mob bank
He leaves it in his face.
Yeah.
And then the Joker pulls away. The pin comes out. You hear it ting ting, but then you don't hear the pin going shh across the floor
because it is overshadowed by the of the gas coming out of the grenade.
But it bothers me if I'm in a situation where I figure I'm going to die anyway, unless he's in shock. If I figure I'm going to die anyway, whether it's a bullet or a grenade in my mouth, I'm going to choose the bullet. I'm going to take the grenade out of my mouth.
Yeah, well, that's you. This guy didn't want to.
No, he just sat there smiling with the
because the gag
the
gag pays off when the smoke does come out and he lets out that sigh. You can see the sigh go through the smoke, and it's a visual thing, but that's the payoff.
Mm-hmm. I do love the setup of each guy takes out the next guy.
Oh yeah, the whole
bigger
heist.
Share.
The whole heist was masterfully planned by the Joker, who they allude to that they don't know who the Joker is, even though he's with them all along. It's I find it hard pressed to find another movie that has such a strong opening. Do they exist? I'm sure they do. Okay, scratch that. I can think of one right now, but that's not the point. My point is, it's a powerful opening and it grabs you and
it pulls you in.
Yeah.
Now we get to meet the Batman.
Yeah, we're in the parking garage because that's where we're gonna.
Well, we're seeing Batman's influence on the society of now. People want to be the Batman.
Right. So
a bunch of vigilantes.
Yeah. More copycats with guns last night, Alfred.
What's the difference?
Yeah. I'm not wearing hockey pads. So what'd you guys think of that scene?
I liked the loiter and the intimidate.
Yeah.
Of the Batmobile.
With the tumbler.
I love that they brought back the Scarecrow, even if it's just for a few seconds.
100% agree with you on that.
That actor, what was his name?
Cillian Murphy.
He played the Scarecrow to me just perfectly in the first movie. And the fact that they fit him in somewhere in all three movies, it's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. He is great as Dr. Crane, and that's what made Batman Begins, such a good movie. And I guess I don't know if I expected it to be as good as it was. And so for now with this Dark Knight, it just keeps getting better and better, right?
And the whole idea that he sits there and goes, "That's not Batman."
Yeah,
and later on,
that's not him.
That's Batman.
Yeah, now we're talking or something like that. Speaking of the tumbler and the loiter and that, what's been your favorite Batmobile?
My favorite Batmobile, I'm torn between Tim Burton's Michael Keaton Batmobile, and the Tumbler.
Sir.
You know, I think I'm going to have to go with the Tim Burton one. Only because to me, that's the most iconic. I was never a big fan of the Tumbler because that didn't feel very Batman-esque to me.
Yeah. I thought the one in Justice League and in Batman versus Superman they were trying to make it a cross between the Tim Burton version and the Tumbler because it still looked like a big fucking tank.
Yeah.
And a big fucking tank doesn't
move well.
Right. And it doesn't strike me as a Batman for some reason. And probably because my favorite Batmobile is the 89 Batmobile as well, the Tim Burton one.
I thought you'd go with the Adam West one.
No, it gets you from point A to point B, but you know, it doesn't have shields, doesn't have machine guns, doesn't have all the toys that Batman needs.
Well, here's a quick story. My friend Apple, who runs the Alamo City Comic-Con, one of the first ones he did, he brought in a bunch of vehicles. He brought in Ecto-1. He brought in the Tumbler. You know, people around the country have these cars and they can bring them in. Apple got to drive the Tumbler all around Alamo.
Oh,
really?
And can you imagine? The guy drove the car like across country. Can you imagine seeing it come down the freeway? But Apple got to drive it around the city, you know, promoting his con. And I think that would have just been amazing.
Oh my gosh, that would be such an awesome experience.
I have a much lesser story.
Okay.
I got to sit in the passenger seat and wave at people in the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile.
That's pretty comparative.
That's awesome. You've always wanted to be an Oscar Mayer wiener.
That's truly what I want to be.
There you go.
I was going to insert some kind of wiener joke there, but...
Moving right along, after the parking garage scene, we are now introduced to...
Gordon at the bank and Batman.
Oh, that's right. It must be in the wee hours of the morning because it's the lighting is different than it was when Batman was going after the guys in the parking garage. And then after the scene of them in the bank, which is pretty much, you know, just a normal Batman, Commissioner Gordon, or Lieutenant Gordon, excuse me, dialogue.
Correct.
Kind of just a basic back and forth, still great. I've always wondered, it looks like it's in the wee hours of the morning, so Commissioner or Lieutenant Gordon never goes home and Batman only works at night.
Well, Batman's nocturnal.
Right. Because the next scene after that, we
get a real quick intro to Alfred, then we meet Harvey and Rachel.
Yep. Oh, well, Alfred goes to the new Bat Cave, or
right,
which was pretty awesome. It's inside a shipping container in a shipping yard that I'm sure they owns.
Yeah.
And you know, I was kind of looking at that last night when I was watching. And he's coming down the elevator, and it's just this big empty room, and then you have all of just his work center, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that's. If you think of Batman in the Bat Cave, he has like an entire side of a mountain with monitors and gadgets and beeps and boops. And in this one, it's very practical. He has exactly what he needs, and he has all his monitors up. And when you're introduced to Christian Bale this time, he's sewing himself up. And then there's a scene where Alfred says, or same scene, Alfred says, "Know your limits, Master Wayne." And Bale's like, "Batman has no limits." And then, you know, they go into the whole bit about, well, Bruce Wayne does, and someday you're going to meet him. Dialogue.
When do we get the scene with Bruce Wayne with Lucius Fox talking about a new bat suit? Is that during this part?
It comes right after. That comes right after we see Harvey Dent and Rachel.
Well, and because Bruce is actually getting dressed to go to work, go to Wayne Enterprise, and the scene when he's putting on his shirt and he's all battered and beaten reminds me of that painting we saw at Comic-Con.
The Alex Ross version?
Yeah, when Batman is changing out of Batman becoming back Bruce Wayne, and his body's just beat to shit. And that's what reminded me of that last night when I was watching it.
What makes me think of that scene is it's just so makes sense that the first thing he wants is, I'd like to be able to turn my head. Because if you think about it, none of the other bat suits allowed you to turn your head. You had to turn your whole body to be able to look around. And I'm like, why did they never think of that?
Michael Keaton was responsible for getting more movement with that, and that was something that he pushed heavily for future Batmans.
Yeah, I can imagine, because his cowl and neck piece was one piece, just like I think they all are, really.
Yeah, until this movie.
And I like how he says it. It would make backing out of the driveway easier. So good line, good interaction.
Mm-hmm.
I love the bond between Lucius and Bruce. It's great. Funny story. Not really a story. Last night, after I was watching Dark Knight, you know, it was on HBO. The Dark Knight Rises.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I kind of watched both. When I caught Dark Knight Rises, it was already halfway through. Bane had already kicked his ass, which is probably my favorite scene in that film. But anyways.
Did you finish?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tom Hardy, I thought was a great Bane.
Well, I see what you did. Go ahead.
I was
Sorry.
like, Tom Hardy, I thought was a great Bane.
Oh, I thought the whole movie was good. I like it better than most people.
I didn't really like the big reveal of Talia at the end that she was the mastermind and blah, blah, blah. She could have done all that stuff way early on.
Yeah, it was.
No, but
it was kind
That's
of
a whole nother, I think, discussion.
Yeah, it was kind of a misstep. Well, if we ever get to review that movie,
And then they kind of whisk out Bane at the end. I mean, the fight scene was great up until where he's all just kind of like a pussycat to Talia.
Yeah, it was a missed opportunity by Nolan and team. But is what it is. We got what we got.
Question.
Yes, sir.
Which Joker public reveal did you enjoy more cinematically? The reveal of the Joker crashing on their group therapy session with a television set, or the intro to Bruce Wayne's fundraising dinner for Harvey Dent?
I would say the first one, the intro we get when he goes to talk to the mob.
Mm-hmm.
So he steals their money, and then he has the balls to go in and interrupt their meeting. And the way he does it is so great because the mob is meeting because Batman and Gordon and Harvey Dent, they're moving in on the mob's money because Gordon went to Harvey Dent, and this is where we first kind of see this interaction.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of have a back and forth, and Dent's like, I don't trust you guys. And Gordon's like, well, if I worked with people you didn't trust, I'd be doing this by myself. So I do what I can with what I got, basically is what he says. And then Dent's like, well, you want me to help you? What do you need? And he goes, well, I can give you the names of the banks. So they go after the banks. This is where we meet the mob and Lau. And then this reveal of the Joker. And it's so powerful because you don't know what's going to happen. It's very unexpected. What he's going to do. The whole pencil trick.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the whole scene with the grenade and everything, he's got his finger on the string and all that. This introduction sets up who this Joker is going to be. And I loved, first of all, seeing him come in the outfit, in the purple trench coat and the greasy green hair and the face makeup that you could actually see on his hands that he put the makeup on. So this isn't, his actual face.
Yeah.
And just the way he came in and set up that scene, and he was so calm and reserved and didn't like being called a freak.
Oh, the suit? It wasn't cheap. You ought to know. You bought it.
I mean, just that whole setup set up the Joker for me for this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Told you exactly who he is, and I was immediately in love. I thought this was the best Joker ever.
Yeah. And the second one that you were referring to, the fundraiser for Dent, it was great. I didn't like how it played out.
People were so worried about Heath Ledger playing the Joker. Could you see Heath Ledger in this character at all? I felt that he got lost in the Joker.
Oh, no. I saw the Joker.
Yeah, I didn't
saw the
see
Joker.
Heath Ledger playing the Joker. I just saw the Joker.
Yeah, and that means
that's
that
a sign of good acting.
Yeah, he did exactly what he set out to do.
Yeah, because I was
in peace.
expecting A Knight's Tale or one of Heath Ledger's other movies, that kind of character. No, he was the Joker.
Yeah, not once did I ever think that. Even when they cast him and people were giving him shit about it or saying shit about it, I was like, give the guy a fucking chance. I bet you he can do it. Because he was great in 10 Things I Hate About You. I mean, Heath Ledger is a great actor. He was...
He was, unfortunately.
Yeah, he was a fantastic
R.I.P.
actor. So, they gave him the Oscar because he fucking deserved it. And had he been alive for the other ones, it would have been fucking amazing. But
Who's the better character actor, Heath Ledger or Johnny Depp?
Depends on the character.
Well,
No, that's an interesting question. I don't know.
Could you have put Johnny Depp in this role?
No way.
No.
No.
But could you put Heath Ledger as the Mad Hatter?
Maybe.
Did you ever?
Well, that was poor. Let's do this. Could Heath Ledger be Captain Jack?
I think he could.
I don't.
Did you ever see that movie? That last movie he did before he passed away?
Yeah, the imagination of Parnassusum in him.
Yeah, he kind of played a Mad Hatter type character. And it was actually
I never saw it.
he did okay. You know, they had to fill in with other people.
Yeah.
But if you see that movie, you could see him as the Mad Hatter and possibly the Captain Jack.
So for me, I think that I like the reveal that the Joker gives to the crime bosses as well. I think that the dinner scene is powerful just because at this point the Joker is starting to appear anywhere. That's what it's starting to feel like. It's like he has these unknown tentacles and you just don't know where he's going to pop up next. And it feels so frightening to know that he could just pop up anywhere. And he already has something in play, something in motion that is to his devising. And it makes him, you know, that anonymity, that ambiguousness, that I think that adds to the scariness of this Joker.
100%.
What did you think of the scene where he kills Gamble, I think is his name, where he tells his story? You want to know how I got these scars?
Oh,
Yeah.
The first story that he gives.
Yeah, the first one.
My father was a drinker and a fiend.
Yeah. I loved the way they set that up.
Yeah.
And then the way, you know, later on in the movie, when he changes the story, that's the Joker.
Yep.
You know, you never know his real origin.
And I wonder what story we would have gotten had Batman not foiled his plan.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
At that third time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, speaking of which, you want to know how I got these scars? Yeah, that was good. Let's talk about that Gamble scene for a second. So the guys bring him in. He had offered $500,000 for him dead or $1 million alive, so he could teach him some manners.
Mm-hmm.
That's as he's exiting the meeting with the mob. And he basically tells the mob, you know what, this guy, Lau's plan's full of shit. Batman's going to throw a monkey wrench in the problem. You have to deal with the real problem, which is Batman. So, you know, kill the Batman.
Why didn't you kill a Batman?
Never do anything or what does he say? God damn it, I had it. If you're good at something, never do it for free.
Yeah.
How much you want? Half. You're crazy. No, I'm not.
I'm not crazy.
Yeah. And he's not. And you're right. When Gamble calls him a freak, he doesn't like that because he's very methodical. He's thought this out. The Joker's got a plan, even though he says he doesn't.
He says later on in the movie,
I'm just a dog.
I'm not
chasing his tail.
I'm not a schemer. I just do things.
Yeah.
But he, you know, throughout the whole movie, he's got plans.
Well, yeah, he doesn't know who he is he doesn't know who he is. How about that? But he does know what he's doing. Make no mistake about it. He does know what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes him the clown prince of crime.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I got to say that scene that you're talking about, John, when he's visiting Dent, that's where I feel like I start to drink the Kool-Aid of what it is that he's selling. And as he talks about that, you know, I just, that's one of my favorite scenes in the movie. You know, he starts out with, do I look like a guy with a plan? Yeah. You know what I am? Yeah. I'm like a dog chasing cars. I wouldn't know what to do with one if I caught it. Yeah. You know, I just do things. The mob has plans. The cops have plans. Gordon's got plans. You know, they're schemers. Schemers trying to control their little world. I'm not a schemer. I try to show the schemers how pathetic their attempts to control things really are.
Well done, Professor.
Yeah.
Now
that scene, which we'll get to, so we're gonna just kind of stop that there, is fucking fantastic.
Well, right? There's that scene,
but that and every other scene in this movie is fantastic.
There's that scene, and then there's also the scene where he's sitting on top of he's got the big pile of money, and he just lights it on fire and makes a comment.
He's not sitting on the money.
I mean, he's not Lau, but I'm saying he lights it on fire, and he talks about how, you know, he likes to blow stuff up, and gas is cheap.
Mm-hmm. It's a cheap throw.
He doesn't need the money.
Yeah, but when he's talking about that, he is the biggest schemer of them all because he has plans for all of this stuff.
Yeah, fucking A, he does. And he was right. He said Batman has no jurisdiction, even though Lau said, I'm going to go to Hong Kong. They won't extradite me. And fucking he was right.
Because Lau's a squealer. I can tell.
So Batman, Harvey Dent, and Gordon meet on top of Gotham PD, and Dent's all pissed off. Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you bring me in?
Well, Dent's the one who lit the bat light.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Because Gordon comes out and shuts it off, like kind of like in a motion of, what the fuck are you doing, buddy?
This is my toy.
Yeah, totally. And then they ask Batman to go after Lau. And
Did you get the vibe of Batman's my friend? He's not your friend. I'm not going to share him.
No, that's funny though. I never thought of it that way. This must have taken at least a week or a couple weeks to carry out, because the next scene we see where Batman and Alfred are coming up with a plan, right? And Alfred says, this guy said he can have it up and running in a week and he'll take the cash. And then Batman says, do you think of an alibi? And Alfred, oh yes. And then typical, Bruce Wayne takes with the whole ballet.
Yeah, they had to shut down the Russian ballet.
Yeah, so they can go on his yacht. Yeah. Meanwhile, Batman finds Lau in Hong Kong and brings him back to Gotham to testify, allowing Dent to apprehend the entire mob. The Joker threatens a string of murders unless Batman reveals his identity, and starts by killing the current police commissioner and Judge Cirillo, who was presiding over the mob trial. The Joker also targets Mayor Anthony Garcia, but Gordon sacrifices himself to stop the assassination. Dent learns that Rachel is the next target. Bruce decides to reveal his identity, but before he can, Dent declares that he is Batman. While transporting Dent in protective custody, the Joker appears and attacks the convoy. Batman comes to Dent's rescue, and Gordon, who faked his death, apprehend the Joker. Securing a promotion to commissioner, Rachel and Dent are escorted away by detectives on Maroni's payroll. Gordon later learns they've never arrived home. Batman interrogates the Joker, who reveals that they have been trapped in separate locations rigged with explosives. Batman races to save Rachel while Gordon attempts to rescue Dent. Batman arrives at the site but realizes that the Joker sent him to Dent's location instead. Both buildings explode, killing Rachel and disfiguring half of Dent's face. The Joker escapes with Lau, whom he later kills along with the Chechen. All right, so this Hong Kong scene. So Batman gets to Hong Kong. You know the building he jumps into?
Mm-hmm.
I've been to that building.
That's
in
pretty
Hong
cool.
Kong. Yeah, it was at the end of a show. My coworkers, some dear friends of mine, surprised me, took me there. They tried to get us, or they tried to get us go to the top, but the Chinese weren't having it. But, God bless them for taking me. That was a lot of fun. What I was thinking about as he dives in, and then, just when he jumps and he glides in, I mean, that's such a Batman move. Right?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, looks great. And you think about Batman doing that kind of stuff.
What I love about this type of scene and the way he gets Lau is he's actually using real world tactics and real world weaponry.
But that's a common theme throughout this entire series, really.
In this series, yes. I was saying previous Batmans, they came up with ice beams and, big diamond things and all kinds of far-fetched stuff. This Batman used real world technology.
I feel like you are trying to bash Ken's favorite Batman of all time movie, Batman and Robin.
Oh, yeah. With the bat. And that's not, did Val Kilmer introduce bat nipples?
It was Val Kilmer's Batman, but it was Joel Schumacher who took over the series from Tim Burton and that whole debacle.
Yeah. And Arnold.
Yeah. So everything was very real world with this Batman. Very good.
Because that is actually, when they talk about that tactic of pulling someone out like that, that is an actual military tactic.
Yeah. So Lau shows back up in Gotham, and then I like this. What'd you think of the scene where Commissioner Gordon gets to go arrest everyone? Maroni's like, "Do you really want to embarrass me in front of my friends, Lieutenant?" Oh, don't worry, they're coming with us. So, big victory. Yeah. Kind of a cool scene. And then we get that fake Batman killed. The mayor and Dent are talking. He's looking at the window and he's saying, if you're up for this, they're all going to come after you and you better be ready.
The big jump scare. No, which is the thing. I can't think of another scene in one of these Batman movies that made people jump like that. Is there other scenes like that? Because when the dead Batman hits the window, To me, that, I mean,
That's one of the few times we see any blood in this movie. There's
Yeah.
almost no blood in this movie.
yeah.
Mhm.
Even the Joker in this movie, you only see him kill 2 people.
But he's responsible for.
Many more.
He's
Maybe
responsible, but the way the Joker works is his hands are clean.
Mhm.
He doesn't actually kill him. Fate decides their death.
I was in Gordon's cage when she was killed.
Who did you leave him with? So then he masterminds the killing of the judge. He kills the current commissioner, Commissioner Loeb, and he plans to kill the mayor.
I was confused with the little note about up. I don't know. I mean, blow up, look up. What's the point?
Well, he got her to look up,
Yeah.
and it blew up.
Yeah.
So there you go.
And then she,
Let's rewind this.
Made you look.
What exactly are you confused about?
I'm thinking more of, besides up, she blew up. She, bits and pieces of her went up.
Yeah, I mean, up. Very clever by the Joker.
Yeah, big old theme. Maybe if she looked up, she would have seen a little house floating with balloons on it.
I guess I would have wanted to see on the roof of the inside of the car. Made you look.
Yeah, that would have been funny.
No, it was fine the way it was.
And in the Joker font with, the red and little smiley face.
You guys are too much. We're not turning this into Tim Burton's Joker. Jack Nicholson was much more of a character.
Yeah.
Much more over the top. Ledger was just subtle
Well, let's go there.
and brilliant.
Let's go there. If you had to pick in order your top 3 Jokers between Cesar Romero, Jack Nicholson, Heath Ledger, Joaquin Phoenix, or the animated great Mark Hamill, which one would you put maybe as your top 2, top 3?
Mark Hamill's number 2. Heath Ledger's number 1.
I would probably say, so I didn't watch a lot of the animated Batman. I've seen some of the animated Batman. I've heard Mark Hamill as the Joker. And for the longest time, I didn't know that was Mark Hamill. But anyways, I would go Ledger, Nicholson, and then Hamill, I guess. I wasn't a huge fan of the Joaquin Phoenix Joker.
Likewise.
Oh, you forgot the Academy Award-winning Suicide Squad, Jared Leto as
That was kind of on
Joker.
purpose.
Oh, I guess that's number 6.
I feel
Number
like
6.
he's
He said
son
number
of the Joker.
He
He's,
said top 5.
I would probably put Leto over nobody too.
You know what? With Leto, I hated him in Suicide Squad. I just felt like gangster Joker, and it wasn't great. But if you watch the revamped version of Justice League with those extra scenes of Leto,
There's only one scene. Calm down.
well, the extra scene of Leto, I thought he did a better job there at playing the Joker than he did in the original. But I still wouldn't put him in my top 5.
Sure. I think
He was a little bit redeemed there.
well, I think it was the exact same Joker. They just cleaned him up.
Yeah.
They gave him long hair. They took off all the tattoos. They made him look more like the Joker
Mm-hmm.
in the future, I guess. I don't know. I felt like he was doing it the exact same way, and I'm not a big fan of Leto. So
Okay.
as the Joker, I think Leto is an amazing actor, though, because he's another one of those actors that completely gets involved in his character and makes you see, that's not Jared Leto. That's the character. So
Well,
I do like Leto as an actor, but I didn't like him as a Joker.
Do you care here in my order?
Yeah, you're up.
Okay. Well, Heath Ledger again, number 1. I don't think Cesar Romero gets enough credit.
Ooh.
If you actually go back and watch the original Adam West series, yes, it was meant to be campy. It was meant to be a comedy.
Yeah, it is what it is.
It is what it is. But playing the prankster Joker, not the homicidal, serial killer Joker, Cesar Romero did a pretty good job.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'd almost want to put him, as my number 2.
Well, I'm pretty sure that Jack Nicholson modeled his probably a lot after Cesar Romero, or took aspects of it.
Yeah.
That's where he kind of drew upon, because I don't think Nicholson was a comic book fan at all.
And I
Says he was, but I think he's full of shit.
I love going back and watching that original series just to see the makeup over the mustache that Cesar Romero
Yeah.
would not
That's
shave.
a little pet peeve of mine is the makeup over the mustache.
Well, he didn't want to shave it.
No, he didn't.
And he didn't have to, because he was Cesar Romero playing the Joker.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you would be Leto and then Romero, and you would be Ledger, then Hamill, and I was Ledger and
Nicholson.
Nicholson, yeah.
I'm just kidding, dude. you picked Ledger.
I picked Ledger, Romero.
I know. I
and
said
Hamill.
Leto.
I heard that. And I thought, wait, is he going from the bottom up?
So we all agree Leto just should not play Joker again.
Agreed. But I'm sure he will because everybody loves the Zack Snyder universe. So yeah.
But we do have Suicide Squad 2 coming.
Yeah, but he's not in it.
He's not in
So
it?
it's fine. No, James Gunn didn't want him.
Okay.
And good for James Gunn. So,
Did you like the interrogation that Batman gives the Joker?
well, he's got to get caught first.
Oh,
Right.
right. I jumped.
So yeah, so Bruce decides that, this is it. Or wait, the dinner party happens in here
right.
somewhere, and we
Yeah.
said we'd come back to that. So Joker shows up to Bruce Wayne's dinner
Mhm.
party, and I thought that the reveal was fantastic, and the dialogue was great, and everything was awesome until Batman showed up. Once Batman showed up, you had a quick, 10-second fight scene.
Scuffle.
Right. And then all of a sudden, Batman's diving out the window to save Rachel.
Well,
I just thought it was kind of anticlimactic for their first meeting.
let's back up a little bit. Alfred, his reaction when Leto, now I got me stuck on that. When Heath Ledger first comes in as the Joker, was a genuine reaction.
Yeah.
That was the first time the actor had actually seen Heath Ledger's Joker.
Yeah.
And so it's great that they kept that reaction shot in.
Oh, yeah. It's fantastic. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are tonight's entertainment. Oh, we should do it. Who does the Joker best? Think about it. We'll come back to that. Pick your favorite line and we'll see who does the Joker best. And we'll ask the listeners, our one faithful listener, who does the Joker best? So that dinner party scene I thought kind of ended anticlimactic. I didn't really care that he jumped out the window to save her. And how do they not die? How do they not die?
I don't know. Well,
Help me out here.
Batman's gadgets?
But he doesn't. So we know that
cape
his
slows the fall a little bit, but you think
go
he
back and
still
watch it.
would
It
have-
doesn't slow it at all.
Yeah, I can trip and fall, and my back is out for like a day.
Yeah, they fell from the penthouse.
And it's the two of them going down.
Yeah,
The weight of two.
yeah. I think we're led to believe at the very last second he gives the cape the static electricity, and it briefly slows them down. But even at that velocity, they got to be toast.
Because it's written that way.
Yes, they should have achieved terminal velocity by the time they reached the ground.
Right.
At this point in the movie, are you as sick of Rachel as I am?
No, I thought this Rachel. I prefer Maggie Gyllenhaal over Katie Holmes.
No, yeah, I'll agree with that. I just don't like the character.
But you got to have her.
Yeah, I don't agree.
Okay, then take her out. And you think it's a better film?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, then why would
Dent does not have the motivation then.
You could
That
have
he
gone
doesn't.
slightly. I mean, you could have had his wife kidnapped or something
Well,
else.
no. You're
But
taking
Batman wouldn't have the motivation.
right, and man, you're taking out the female lead, or
Yeah.
the female character of it. So unless you replace it, you're right. Both Bruce and Dent don't have their motivation.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I just hate the whole Batman connected, wants to give it up for love and blah, blah, blah. And,
Well, it's because you don't believe in love. Sorry, Julie.
well, I want the
and
machines
you want
to win.
say, God damn it, you want to side with the machines.
I
That
want
is
the
correct.
machines to win.
Wait, have we talked about the Matrix yet? For those of you who are listening, it'll make sense later.
Hey, that would be foreshadowing.
Bruce wants to give it up now. He thinks that
Dent can be the
Dent
white
is
knight.
the White Knight. But what happens is they are going to a funeral, and the Joker had threatened to kill the mayor, and the mayor's at the funeral, leading the funeral for Commissioner Loeb and Judge Cirillo. It's a big to do, and we know that the Joker is going to strike, but we don't know how he's going to strike. And so we know that Batman has to do something, but he doesn't. I mean, it's during the daytime, so what does he do? He gets on his motorcycle, and him and Alfred use their means to find a possible location, which shows us again that Batman is the world's greatest detective. And
Or is it Alfred?
I think it's a little bit of both.
Okay.
I think that it is a little bit of both. Although The Dark Knight Rises shows us that Bruce kind of fumbles a little bit when it's just him.
No, this was our first scene where we got to see Joker without makeup.
Yeah. No, and this scene is fantastic. So, and again, he has plotted and planned every step along the way. They've stole guard uniforms. They're in the procession. They have the weapons. They know the perfect time to do it. And Gordon just has this sneaky feeling when they start firing, everything kind of comes together because Bruce is in the apartment. The shade goes up. The the police think that he's the shooter, which is a misdirection, which was planned by the Joker. Everyone's shooting, and then Gordon jumps, dives in front of the bullet, and sacrifices himself to save the mayor. And how does the Joker get away? Drops the gun and just slithers right out of the crowd. Brilliant. Great writing, great execution. The shots were beautiful. The shots of the parade, and and when you see Heath without the makeup, the scars are there, and he just looks evil and determined. And I mean, you could say so much about this entire flick. So now that we think that Commissioner Gordon's dead, Batman is going to turn himself in.
Yeah, the Joker basically demands he takes the TV personality guy hostage.
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet.
Oh, I thought that's when he demanded that Batman reveal himself.
No, he does, but he captures. Remember the Batman that hits the window? He does kill. He throws from the building.
Yeah,
that's the video that he's talking to. He says, "Are you the real Batman?" He's like, no. Well, then why did you dress like him? And then he says, "That's how crazy Batman has made Gotham. So if you want all of these to stop, you have to take off the mask and show us who you are." And then we get to the dinner scene, and that's when he says it again. Batman says, "Knock it off, you're done." And he says, "Well, just take off your little mask and show us who you are." Right. So this has already been demanded.
Well, this is also a lead up to something that, Don, I know you've talked about in the past, which is the superhero trope. You know, this is a second movie where typical superheroes want to quit, they need a reason to quit.
I find that in sequels to superhero movies, and not all of them, mind you, there are exceptions. In every sequel of a superhero movie or whatever, the superhero always wants to give up. In Superman 2, he gave up his powers to be with Lois. Spider-Man 2, he wanted to give up his powers to be with Mary Jane.
Iron Man 2.
Iron Man 2, he wanted to give up because he was dying.
Well, he also wanted to give up so he can lead a normal life. Like when he blows up all his suits, it's to be with Pepper Potts.
That's in 3.
That's what I'm saying, 3, which again, bad movie.
Oh, no. But we'll talk about that later. So yeah, I think that there's a superhero trope for sequels.
Do you see the pattern there?
Yeah.
What is the ultimate kryptonite for all of these superheroes?
The women they love?
Yeah, it's all the women. They'll give it up for the women. They'll screw everyone else over to give it up for one good woman.
Well, I mean, if you're happy, and why is he screwing everyone over?
Because like Superman gives up his powers, there could be a meteor on the way to destroy the planet, but he gives up his powers just to spend a little time with Lois.
So you think that because Superman decides to be with Lois and give up his powers, that we have the right to be pissed at him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because if you're gifted something like that, you rise above.
Says who?
Well, with great power comes great responsibility.
Oh, I love in the Spider-Verse. Don't you finish that line.
But it's the whole idea of, a lot of these movies, especially the first ones, they give up what makes them happy in their life because they know ultimately they can do a lot more good.
Yeah. Well,
you're given a gift like that. You're given something like that. And I always felt like the women should support them. If they really love them for who they are, they should support them as they are.
Lois did. Lois never asked him to give up his powers.
Like in the comic books,
Mary Jane never asked him to give up her powers.
She didn't give up his powers, but in the comic books, she did divorce him at one time because he was too much the Spider-Man.
Well, that's a lot of fucking responsibility. You're saving the fucking world.
I know, but if he had given up at any time, what ifs that I know you love, if he had given up, the bad guys win.
Not necessarily. Maybe 7 million concerned citizens rise up and help out every once in a while.
But they don't have that example.
Of course they did. They had the example prior to him quitting.
Yeah.
My point was, in superhero sequels, I feel like the superhero always wants to give up. And he kind of does in this one after Rachel dies, but he knows better. And so at this point where we're at, he does want to turn himself in because he even tells Dent, after Gordon's shooting, no one else is going to die because of me. He felt bad that Commissioner Gordon, his friend, died on his watch. So they go to the press conference. He's going to give up himself. I like what Harvey Dent says. He goes, I've called this press conference because Batman's going to give himself up. We have to ask ourselves why. Why is he doing this? Or is he doing this because he is a vigilante? Or are we demanding that he does this because the Joker is telling us so? Right. And so he asks the audience or the people at the press conference, the public. And all it takes is for the police officers to say no dead cops, which I agree with 100%. And, you kind of have to look at it as with the greater good. The cops aren't really they're not really cutting the mustard on capturing the Joker. So in reality, Batman is your best bet, but the emotions are high and they call for no cops. And so Dent takes his place because Dent knows that Batman is bigger than what's going on here and that the city, they need him right now.
I'm the Batman.
Yeah, I'm Batman. And they need him. And so Dent knows that Batman will try and protect him, which leads us to one of the best scenes in the entire movie. Let's talk about Harvey Dent's transport from the courthouse to jail.
One of the craziest action stunts with the flip of the truck.
I was mentioning that last night. My niece was here and Elise, we were upstairs and I said, watch this truck flip. This actually happened. They physically flipped this truck and it's fucking brilliant. It's so gorgeous.
Yeah.
I loved the ramping up of the guns that the Joker starts out with, and then the guns get bigger.
What's he going to do with that? Oh, what is that?
Yeah. He starts with a handgun, then a machine gun, then an automatic machine gun, and then a rocket launcher.
What did it say on the side of the truck?
Slaughterhouse or no, because it's laughter.
Was it laughter?
Yeah. Is it like the laughter house?
And when he opens up the door, it becomes slaughter.
Yeah. Because they spray paint an S.
Yeah.
And again, it shows what fun Heath Ledger is having with this character because I love when he's driving and just his antics and he's just going crazy and Batman shows up in the Tumbler and sorry, Ken, this is where they destroy the Tumbler.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's such a great fucking scene.
Yeah, it is jaw-dropping to watch that semi-truck flip.
So Batman stops him with the Bat Pod. They get out. And I love this exchange. Batman is laying on the ground. One of the goons gets up to take off his mask and then electrocutes him.
Well, even before that, though, where they're playing chicken and Batman's driving the pod straight at the Joker. And the Joker's like, I want you to hit me. I want you to hit me. Come on.
Yeah.
Because he wants Batman to do that one thing.
I don't think it's that. I think that the Joker just wants to mess with the Batman.
Well, I think so too. I think that Joker, the Joker's ready to die. I think if the Batman has the balls to do it, Joker stands there.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Joker lets Batman hit him fucking for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I think deep down inside, he knows Batman won't do it.
But I don't think the Joker wants to die. I think, though, if he's going to die, it's going to be for a certain reason, like making the Batman kill him. But later on in the movie, he has an opportunity to risk his own life, and he doesn't even risk it there.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a little bit. But that shows to me in that later scene, the Joker's not ready to die. He doesn't want to die. But at this point, if the idea of he can corrupt the Bat, he will take one.
No, I think that the Joker doesn't care. I don't think he cares. I don't think he cares if he dies or not.
Well, you're wrong.
No, I'm not. I'm actually the right one. You are the wrong one.
Well, I'll prove it later.
Okay, we'll get there. All right, so yeah, they capture the Joker, and voila! Guess who's not dead?
Well,
Commissioner Gordon.
I love the line when, the Joker's about to take the mask off or kill the Batman, and Gordon comes up behind him and kind of puts the gun to his head or whatever he does, and so he's like, "Wait a minute, I'm not done here yet." What's he say?
He says, "Can you give me a minute?"
Are you surprised that the caravan of vehicles end up going underground? Why not just turn left?
Oh yeah, for sure. We're going down to Lower Fifth is what they say, because there is a fire truck on fire, ironically, to the left, and they for some reason can't go right.
Yeah, and wasn't it convenient that it worked out because they had that's where all of Joker's people were.
Yeah. Movie convenience,
Movie
maybe?
convenience. Yeah.
Maybe. And maybe with the helicopter as well. You know, maybe a
Mhm.
little bit convenient there.
Mhm.
So, yeah, either way, fantastic fucking scene. Great action, set piece, most of it practical. So, kudos to Christopher Nolan for creating that.
Mhm.
We are now in the jailhouse with the Joker. He has been captured, and as we will find out in a minute here, he has allowed himself to be captured.
Well, one of the most iconic is it the iconic scene happens here or possibly after the interrogation, where Joker is sitting in the jail cell and it's announced that Lieutenant Gordon is now Commissioner Gordon.
It's before the interrogation.
And you have the Joker sitting there and he just starts slow clapping.
Yeah, that was all improvised.
And, like Sideshow.com makes statuettes of different things, or they sell statuettes of different things. They have one of him just clapping there, and you can almost see that scene and hear that clap
I think that's
right from that statue.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the first images we got to see of Heath Ledger as the Joker before the movie came out. I think that was one of the first pictures you got to see was him sitting there with that look on his face and his hands coming together for the clap. Again, that was improvised and it was so perfect.
Did you have like a favorite movie poster? One of mine was the one where there's steam on the window and you can just see the finger of the Joker drawing the smiley face.
Surprisingly, none of the Nolan Batman movie posters really did it for me. I have one in my garage and it's Ledger walking down the city street, and it's one of the three that were released. One with Batman, one with him, and then probably one with Ra's al Ghul. I don't know. That one is okay. The one they use for the box art where it's just Batman and then the bat signal is in fire.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of them, they tried to show an element in each one. I don't remember what the first one. The second one was fire. And was the third one rock?
No, the first one was Earth.
Was it earth? What was the last one?
Ice.
Ice, okay.
So yeah, now we get to, we find out that Harvey and Rachel never made it to their destinations. And so now we have to talk to the Joker. And this scene, favorite scene in the entire movie.
This is one of them
Hands down.
where if you're going to think about this movie or if someone sensed Dark Knight, this is the one that jumps into your mind.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah.
Great open. Lights off, lights back on, and there's the Batman.
I want to hear the professor say the line.
Which one?
Never start with the head. The prisoner, he's all fuzzy.
Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, it's good.
That was a great line.
And then they get into it back and forth. And the way the Joker breaks it down to
Great
Batman.
dialogue.
I mean, it's so well written, and I mean, it was perfect. It's almost the anatomy of the perfect scene.
He even sets up in that scene his own escape. When he gets his face smashed into the mirror or the window and it breaks a shard, that's the shard he uses to take the police officer hostage.
Right.
Yeah.
The other good thing that this scene highlights, which I really enjoyed with Batman, is we get a good look at the reflection, a glimmer of light in Christian Bale's eyes. So we're not looking at just a sheet of black face with him. We can actually see his eyes underneath the cowl. And I really enjoyed that they always wanted to emphasize Batman's eyes. So there are these little teeny weeny beads of light in his, in the eye sockets. I thought that was a really good touch.
Yeah. And I love how the Joker says, because Batman is brute strength and he's beating the shit out of Heath Ledger's Joker, right? He just keeps smacking the Joker. Where are they? And the Joker says, you have nothing to threaten me with, nothing with all your power. And then, and I don't know if that's necessarily true to a certain degree, because the Batman winds up to knock him in again. And the immediate response out of the Joker is, but I'm going to tell you, that's the point. And yes, that is the point. And yes, he was going to do it the whole time. But I'm wondering to myself, I don't think he wanted to take one more punch to the jaw, because Batman was hitting him pretty fucking hard. And the Joker was taking it like a fucking champ.
Even the part where after he knocked his head and he'd made the quote, and then he gets his fingers smashed by the Batman, he's like, that's better. I mean, just the whole segment. I do like the oh shit moment. I love movies that have oh shit moments. And that's where Batman goes and blocks the door and the police are outside going, oh shit.
Yeah. If you're going to save one of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I really thought you were Dent the way you threw yourself after her. Yeah, such a good reveal. And you knew it was coming.
Mm-hmm.
You knew it was coming. And Gordon says to all the other cops, he's in control. And then he goes to lock the door.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So good. So we find out that Rachel and Harvey are at two different places.
And the Joker being the Joker tells the truth, but only mostly the truth.
Oh, no, I saw that coming a mile away. When he said she's at 52nd Favela Cicero and he's at Avenue X or whatever he says, I knew it was reversed. I knew it was opposite. So
they're both sitting on tanks of gas, basically all those gas canisters.
Why? Because gas is a what?
Cheap.
Well done. Yeah, and then this allows the Joker to escape. And we get to that scene where he's talking to the cop and, you know, he tells him you want to know which one of your friends were cowards?
Your quote from the beginning.
Yep. And he goats him and he goats everybody he encounters from the mob to Batman to Dent to Rachel. He goats everyone. That's his shtick. And it fucking works.
And for a schemer who doesn't make plans, he sewed the phone and the bomb inside of the other prisoner.
Yeah,
knowing he was going to get captured.
He was telling Dent what he thinks Dent wants to hear. He just talks to talk. And so for, to say that, well, he said that he's a schemer. Guess what, guys? He lied. Yeah, he's a fucking mastermind.
Tons of schemes.
Joker lies?
Yeah, I would put him, on the same level as being just as smart or maybe smarter than Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
Well, he does think
absolutely
that the idea of, good and bad and morals, things like that are all artificial. And that's one of the things he wants to prove. So lying or not lying doesn't matter. There is no good or bad. There's no line.
Yeah.
Yeah. As it's subtly pointed out by Alfred, some people just want to watch the world burn.
Yeah.
Was that Alfred or was that Bond?
I don't know. But still, that's a really revealing point that sums up who the Joker is, because the Joker claims to be an agent of chaos, and I suppose he is, because he is tipping anything over that can be tipped over.
Whatever happened to the Joker to make him this way, he just wants to prove everyone else is just like him. They're just pretending to be this righteous whatever, that they all will make the same kind of decisions he would make if they are put in that place.
Yeah.
Just takes one bad day.
Coleman Reese, an accountant at Wayne Enterprise, deduces that Bruce is Batman and tries to go public with the information. Not wanting Reese's revelation to interfere with his plans, the Joker threatens to destroy a hospital unless someone kills Reese within an hour. Gordon orders the evacuation of all hospitals in Gotham and goes to secure Reese. The Joker gives Dent a gun and convinces him to seek revenge for Rachel's death, then destroys the hospital and escapes with a busload of hostages. Dent goes on a killing spree as the vigilante Two-Face, deciding the fates of people he holds responsible for Rachel's death by flipping his lucky coin, one side having been scorched in the explosion. To prove his point about flawed humanity, the Joker rigs two evacuating ferries with explosives, one containing civilians and the other containing prisoners. He threatens to blow them both up by midnight unless one boat blows up the other with the detonator that the Joker supplied. With reluctant help from Lucius Fox, Batman finds the Joker by exploiting the sonar capabilities of all cell phones in the city. Both the civilians and the prisoners refuse to kill each other. Batman apprehends the Joker after a brief fight before the SWAT team arrives and takes the Joker into custody. He gloats that Gotham's citizens will lose hope once Dent's rampage becomes public knowledge. So we know that Dent and Rachel were kidnapped. They were strapped to gases because gas is cheap.
Batman went to save Rachel, but he was given the wrong address. He was given Harvey's address.
Which, in a way, he was still kind of responsible for the creation of Two-Face, even though it was a little different than it was explained. And in the comics, I think, because I think they're in court.
In the comic books, the first scene where Harvey goes to court and the guy's on the witness stand and he's grilling him, and the guy says, well, I'm in charge of the mob. That actually was taken from the comic books, but that would have been the scene where the guy on the witness stand threw acid on side of Harvey's face to create Two-Face.
Oh yeah.
So that would have where it would have been, but they moved it to this scene where he's pulled out of the warehouse right as it explodes. He gets his face dunked in gas and lights on fire.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the makeup was great. I thought the CGI that they did on the side of his face looked great.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So the Joker, being the Joker, knows that Reese wants to say who Batman really is.
Didn't you love Lucius's comeback after Reese asks for $10 million a year for the rest of his life?
You think that your client
One of the world's most richest men.
spends his night beating thugs to a pulp with his bare hands, and your plan is to blackmail this person?
Good luck.
Yeah, I thought
Classic
that
Morgan
was
Freeman, right?
fantastic.
Yeah. So the Joker says he wants Reese dead, and then Batman has to go save him, and he's getting ready to leave. And as they're evacuating the hospitals, because there's a bomb in the hospital, they figure out who could possibly involved, and it's a a race against time to stop people trying to kill Reese. And Bruce Wayne takes his Lamborghini, and I love what Alfred says. Are you going to be wanting the Bat Pod during the day, Alfred? Not very subtle. The Lamborghini then. Much more subtle. And then he's flying down the road.
And I guess that was a Lamborghini Murcielago, which I guess translates into the Bat.
Oh, really?
So basically what they say is that was his daytime Batmobile.
Yeah, I can see that.
So did you notice that several times before Harvey Dent turned into Two-Face, when he would propose a flip of his coin, let that decide, that he was subtly kind of sort of tilting the odds in his favor, because
It was a double-sided coin.
he knew it was a two-sided coin, but the other person never would.
Right.
So, little stinker.
Yeah, well, that, and we do
Well, he
get-
makes his own luck. That's what he says.
But we do get subtle hints throughout the movie that he's kind of got this double personality. You know, he's this good guy who fights for justice, but when Gordon is supposedly killed, he takes the guy hostage. You know, he's kind of got that two-sided personality throughout the whole movie.
I don't know if I would call it a two-sided personality. I think that's just who he is.
Well, they even, talk about how he used to have this old nickname from the people, and the old nickname was Two-Face.
Yeah.
Because he would show two sides. He'd be a nice guy, and then he'd stab you in the back.
Well, or he did his job.
Yeah,
he was
which-
investigating cops at IA. Of course, dirty cops are going to call him Two-Face.
Yeah.
Right. So, and that's why Gordon doesn't want to say it, because he doesn't think it's fair, or he doesn't want to get involved. Gordon is very neutral
Well,
when
he's
it comes
also-
to bad cops and good cops.
I thought he just didn't want to say it because Harvey was already kind of having a bad day. Yeah, when he's in the hospital bed.
Oh, well,
he says, what they used to call me.
Right.
What they used to call me.
Well, they reference it twice.
Yeah.
The first time they meet, and Gordon says, I don't know what they say.
Yeah, they didn't say that.
And then he yells at him in the hospital bed. So let's talk about that hospital scene between the Joker and Harvey.
I loved him in his little nurse outfit.
Yeah.
The
And
Joker.
then, his, his logic, or what he's telling, like you said, this is kind of where you're drinking the Kool-Aid with what the Joker is trying to accomplish and what he's saying. What he's saying makes sense. And this kind of shows you that he's not just a random dog chasing his tail or chasing cars. He very much has a plan, and he definitely wants destruction. But you're kind of right, John. He doesn't want to do it himself because he only kills two people.
Yeah.
He wants society to do it. He wants to break down society.
But this is also that scene I was talking about where it proves the Joker doesn't want to die. He's not ready to die because obviously all of his dreams have not been fulfilled yet. Because he puts the gun to his head and lets Harvey hold the gun and says, flip the coin or whatever.
He doesn't say flip the coin.
Well, he just says, let fate decide, or what does he say?
He doesn't say anything. He says he puts the gun to his head, and
then when he does this, what John is alluding to, did you happen to notice where the thumb of the Joker rests on the gun?
Oh, he puts it in between the hammer and the thingamadoodle.
So the gun can't fire at him either way. He wants to live. He's not willing to let it up to be the flip of the coin that decides if he lives or dies. He's got too much to do.
We'll never know because the coin landed
Yeah, but
The right way.
It's a great moment because this is Harvey's descent into madness, and we are there to watch it happen. It finally happens when the gun is put to the Joker's head. I mean, Harvey, he's down. He's okay. He is Two-Face now. As soon as he flips that coin, he's ready to pull the trigger.
Gordon and Batman arrive at the building where Rachel perished and encounters Two-Face, who has Gordon's family as hostages. Two-Face shoots Batman and threatens to kill Gordon's son, claiming that Gordon is responsible for Rachel's death. Before he flips a coin for the boy, Batman, who is wearing body armor, tackles Two-Face off the building and to his death. Batman tells Gordon to hold him responsible for Dent's killing spree to preserve Dent's heroic image. Dent is hailed as a hero as the police launch a manhunt for Batman. Gordon destroys the bat signal. Fox watches as the sonar device self-destructs. Alfred Pennyworth burns a letter from Rachel saying she had planned to marry Dent. Thus ends The Dark Knight, and he's riding off. And then that's where we get our credits.
So the hospital blowing up, I could not believe watching the hospital explode like that. It's like they actually destroyed a whole flippin' building.
Yeah, and that bit where Heath is banging on the remote, improvised.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I thought that just the whole thing was great.
Yeah,
But-
absolutely.
And he gets on a back of a bus.
Yeah.
But the whole bit about, why didn't anybody, what are all these barrels doing in the hospital everywhere?
Yeah.
Same thing with the boat.
Right,
Nobody
well-
notices all those things of gas showing up in a.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. The Joker's plan is to blow up one of these or have the other boat blow up the other boat with the other. He gives the other boats
Detonator.
detonators. Oh, I couldn't get
A
that
very
out.
clever plan.
Yeah. And
But there are people who their only job is to go around and make sure the ship is ready to go out to sea.
well, the Joker paid him.
And they don't notice all that gas. They're transporting a ton of gas.
He has so much money. You know
Well,
how much
half that money.
well, I mean, that fire might have gone out at some point.
Mm.
I mean, that was really
That was a mountain.
that's compressed paper. So
Mhm.
yes, it will burn. And he did use a lot of gasoline, but I bet you there's a couple $100,000 sitting there
There's got to be a chunk in the middle.
in the middle. Exactly. There's a lot of money. Anyways. So yeah, he paid off the ferry people. That's why that's how you get away with that.
Because it was written that way.
Oh no, he just paid for him or he
Okay.
just paid him off. Batman has to use the sonar technology that Fox developed, and he applies it to every cell phone, which Fox has a real problem with. He says this is unethical, not right. It's wrong. I mean, he flat out tells him it's wrong.
And he says that as long as that machine's there, I won't be.
Yeah. And Bruce anticipates that, and so he makes his name the self-destruct key phrase, which he uses at the end, which restores his faith in Batman and Bruce Wayne. So great scene there. The whole bit with the SWAT team. They figure out that the clowns are
The hostages.
hostages. Yeah, the clowns
And
are
the
hostages.
doctors are all the.
Or the hostages
terrorists.
were the clowns.
Yeah.
Right. It was a
Right.
bait and switch.
Yep.
Bait and switch.
Classic Joker.
I liked the fight and at that construction site building, the fight between Joker and Batman, because as the dogs are attacking Batman, Joker's right there acting like a savage dog. He's just going crazy, beating him with the crowbar.
Mm.
Yeah.
And that just kind of, again, goes right to the personality of the Joker. He, deep down, is a savage dog.
He is a very complex human being.
He's an anarchist.
Sure. Absolutely. So ultimately, I like what the Joker says too. Batman, they get in their scuffle, and then the bit with the gauntlets and the blades come out because he refers to the.
You want to know how I got these scars?
No, but I know how you got these. And he releases the gauntlets, and he falls, and Batman saves him because he doesn't want to kill him.
I love the camera work on that final dialogue between him and Joker. The camera work is excellent.
The upside down shot of the
yeah,
Joker.
it's slowly turning.
Yeah. And you can kind of see the blood rushing to Heath Ledger's face, and he's using that moment to really bring to us, he's conveying to Batman, you really think I would bet the soul of Gotham on a fist fight with you? Pfft, please. I'm too smart for that. And then he knows that Harvey's doing what Harvey's doing, So the Joker gets captured and he says, you and I are destined to do this forever. Batman finds where Harvey Dent is. Dent has kidnapped Commissioner Gordon's wife, daughter, and son. He's going to make Commissioner Gordon suffer by watching the person he loves most die, which is his son. And then the Batman shows up, and this is kind of where we get into, Dent wants justice for Rachel, ultimately. And he says, the Joker played us all, and I'm the only one that lost everything. And Batman's like, no, you're not. And he picked you because you were the best of us. And he was the best of us. So the Joker got what he wanted ultimately at the end. Even with Batman and Commissioner Gordon hiding the fact and blaming Batman for everything, it still comes out in the wash. Ultimately the Joker got what he wanted.
This is where
he didn't win.
This is where we argue back and forth. Is I feel like the Joker won in this scene because again, he turned Harvey Dent just like he wanted, and he got Batman to kill Dent.
That's debatable because what if they were on the ground floor?
But they weren't, and Batman knew that. Batman knew what he was doing when he knew by pushing Dent off the side of the building, Dent was not going to live. He did not try to save him.
Well, he couldn't. He was saving the boy, and you don't know that.
He could have pulled out his little grappling thing and caught him on the leg, or done something, or grabbed them both and held them both. And
then what? And then what's he going to hold on to?
I don't know.
Exactly.
He fell off a building earlier on and survived
with his cape. Absolutely.
He's still wearing his cape.
I disagree. I don't think he knew that Dent was going to die. He could have known it was a possibility. He didn't deliberately go out to kill Dent. He went out to deliberately save Gordon's son.
That's what I think too.
And it was collateral damage.
But Joker did not say, I'm going to turn you into a killer. He said, I'm going to make you break your rule and make you kill, which he did. A police officer shoots someone in the line of duty. They still kill them. I don't consider them a murderer. I don't consider a police officer a bad person if they have to do it in the line of duty to save somebody or to save themselves. Okay. Batman is still not a bad person, but he did have to kill.
You're saying that he knew that he was going to kill Dent.
Not in that exact moment. He didn't plan on killing him.
No, that's what you just said.
But I said he knew as he pushed Dent off, Dent was not going to survive that fall.
I feel like he didn't give up. I feel like he wasn't thinking about Dent when he pushed Dent off. I think that he was focused on saving the kid, and that was it. When he's in midair catching the kid and holding on, he might have said, "Oh shit, Dent." No, I don't buy that for a second.
But the Joker still made him kill.
The Joker didn't make him do anything.
He had to do it. He had no other choice. What other choice did he have? Let the boy die?
Right, but you're saying
that's not the Joker's plan, though.
That wasn't the Joker's plan.
You're going to have to break your one rule.
Okay, but the Joker's plan is not necessarily I'm going to make Batman kill Harvey Dent.
Right. No. What you're saying is he was going to kill. It doesn't matter
who he killed.
Yeah. It doesn't matter who he kills.
He's going to make him kill somebody. He was going to make him break his one rule, which in the end, he broke his one rule, which he really does in other movies too.
Well, I think it's a point of view because you could also interpret that when the Joker says that, I'm going to make you break your one rule, he wants Batman to walk up and snap someone's neck.
You think?
He wants Batman to run someone over.
I don't think break down.
Right. To mentally break down and have to kill. I don't think he meant collateral damage. And that's what Harvey Dent was. At the end of the day, that's what Harvey Dent was. Batman was trying to save the kid.
This sets up for Joker's victory. This is the things he wanted. He especially wanted to turn Harvey Dent. Now, he didn't entirely win at this point because he wanted society to see that Harvey Dent had turned, that Harvey Dent had become this person that goes out and kills and breaks laws. He didn't get that until the third movie when the letters read.
Right. And so I will give you that the Joker wins the battle, but he does not win the war. The war ends when that bomb goes off at the third movie. And at that point, both Batman and Gordon and probably Dent are redeemed. You guys ready to rate this, or is it even worth it?
I already know what I'm going to give it.
I think so. I'm already set with my rating.
Yeah, I think I am too. Who wants to go first?
I will go first because this was my movie pick, and I'm going to take credit for that. I picked a pretty badass movie.
Probably.
The greatest superhero movie made.
And a lot of people argue that Batman is not a superhero and it's not a superhero movie. Whatever you want to call it. It's one of the greatest movies ever made. But I agree with you, Ken. He's a great superhero. Well, so what?
I love Batman. I'll just go into that. And that's one of the characters. Obviously, anybody who's visited my little man cave, you know that I love Batman. But in the end, he is a vigilante. He is a little bit of an anti-hero. He will break the law. He breaks the law every time he goes out in the costume. He even says to Alfred at one point, I think during Dawn of Justice, that we were never heroes. We were always criminals because they're breaking the law.
Well, Lucius Fox calls him a vigilante as well.
Yeah. So, but what he does is for the greater good. So you got to give him credit there. But anyway, going to this movie, Heath Ledger stole this movie. He was freaking amazing. I don't know if anyone else will ever, I mean, they'll always be compared to Heath Ledger, and I don't think anyone else will ever create a Joker better than Heath Ledger. He is the bar. This is a movie. Now, our ratings, we should go into a little bit of what our ratings are about. Our ratings are 1 to 5, and 1 being, I'm not a big fan of this movie. 5 is, oh my God, I love this movie. I'm going to watch it every time it's on TV. 3 would be, I'm going to watch bits and pieces of it if there's nothing better on TV. This is a movie for most of us who, if we're flipping the channels and we see Dark Knight is on, we're going to stop looking. We're going to go straight to and watch it. For me, that I can't think of another movie. There's a few, but if I don't hit those movies first and this movie comes along, this is the movie I'm going to watch, and I don't care what point it's at, I'm going to watch it. So for that reason, just because this movie is probably the best Batman movie ever made, I'm going to give it a 5.0.
Nice. 5 from John.
So for me, when I think about this movie, I can't think of a stronger superhero movie. There's other superhero movies, but for me, I think that this is probably the strongest superhero movie for me in so far as how we have the development of the Joker, the driving pace and the cadence of the movie. The musical score is fantastic. I am completely sucked into the logic that the Joker gives to Harvey Dent insofar as his idea of chaos. I really enjoyed watching Batman being a detective, which is something that it doesn't seem to get emphasized as much in Batman movies, because in the comic books, these are the roots of Batman, is his detective work. And I love Christian Bale, how he has represented Batman. It is solid. And I just think that this is my favorite superhero movie. So I got to give it a 5.
A 5 from the professor. All right, I will go. In 2008, when I saw this film, it was amazing. In 2021, when I watched this film last night, it was amazing. My favorite Christopher Nolan movie. And I really enjoy Christopher Nolan as a writer-director. I think he's pretty good. I think he's pretty awesome. This movie is probably my second favorite superhero movie of all time.
Can I guess your first?
Sure.
Endgame?
Nope.
Infinity War?
Nope.
What would be your first?
Superman, 1978. Without that film, you don't have any of these films. But we can talk about that later. And if we're going back and forth and they're both on at the same time, Dark Knight versus Superman 1978, I cannot give you an answer right this second of which one I would watch.
It tugs too hard on the heartstrings.
Exactly. And we should kind of mention with our ratings, a lot of this, I think, is what mood we're in when we're trying to watch said film.
That's a fair point.
And if the film sways your mood to want to watch it, then it gets a higher grade, right? So for me, this film is almost flawless, but I don't know if there is a absolute flawless film.
Flash Gordon.
There's Flash Gordon, which I think The Dark Knight was based on Flash Gordon.
Is Flash Gordon a superhero? Go on, Don.
Thank you. For me, this film will always be pure gold. With that being said, I am going to give The Dark Knight a 4.75.
Okay. I was wondering, but okay.
You talked about the Superman movie. You liked number 1 over number 2?
Yes, only because it was more epic. And going back and watching 2 becomes very campy and kind of jokey. And you can see the different style of directors because there's a whole thing with it. Richard Donner, who did The Goonies, Lethal Weapon, The Omen, great director, did Superman, and they were filming 1 and 2 at the same time. And the plan was always for 2 to be with General Zod and the 3 villains from Krypton. So, but because of creative issues, or what they say, Donner couldn't do it, or Donner got fired, and they brought in this other dude who'd done a couple James Bonds, and the tone really changed. They did go so far as to release Superman 2, the Donner cut, which they kind of use test footage and audition footage from Christopher Reeve, and they kind of mix that story together, and that changes it as well. So, out of the 2, I would pick the first Superman.
Okay. So I guess we should go into our pick for next week.
I think it's your turn, Professor.
All right. Okay, it's time for the professor to draw. And this is the next movie we'll be doing a podcast on.
I think that Don and John are going to have an interesting conversation as we review The Matrix.
The first one?
The first one.
This would be the first one.
Whose pick is it?
This
John's.
would be mine.
Whoa. Guns. We need lots of guns.
Are you going to be able to get through this week, Don?
Kung Fu.
Joke's on you, fuckers. I actually kind of like this one.
Yeah.
The first one's good. I wish it would have stayed right there.
Right, but we'll get into that.
Yes.
All right, so that's going to do it for this episode of Three Guys in a Flick. John, where can they find us?
They can find us at our website, threeguysinaflick.com. They can find us on Facebook. They can find us on Twitter or any of your favorite podcast hosting sites, iTunes, Spotify. We are on all of them.
All right. So thank you to our loyal listener, and we will see you next week. I'm Don.
I'm John.
And I'm Ken. Thanks for listening.